There is some research published today by Dame Sara Khan, who was previously the counter-extremism advisor to Rishi Sunak. And it's a very wide-ranging piece of research that looks at everything from the weakening of social cohesion right through to public attitudes to the riots last summer. Riots, of course, that many people refer to as the Farage riots, because the leader of Reform amplified... well, he said he got it from Andrew Tate, didn't he? The misogynist and suspected human trafficker facing rape charges currently in Romania. That was the trusted news source that Farage turned to before wading into social media prior to the riots that saw people trying to set fire to hotels full of refugees. Actions that 8% of the population actually support. 8% believe violent protest outside refugee accommodation is justified. So it is wide-ranging. The bit I don't get is the bit about polarisation between the left and right. I don't know what that means anymore. It doesn't mean polarisation between people like me and people like, I don't know, David Gauke, Dominic Grieve, Rory Stewart, Anna Soubry, Nicholas Soames. I mean, right-wing people. I saw James Cleverly the other day. Civil exchange. That's not polarised. What's polarisation? Polarisation, for me, is between people who believe things that are true and people who believe things that are not true. And I don't see that as a left-right thing. Or you call it polarisation of people who don't think that a rapist should be president of America and people who do. I mean, is that polar? I don't know. So I don't know what that bit means. I know why Britain is so divided. It's because the lies that were spread in 2016 have still not been owned or accommodated by the people who spread them. You know, the idea that you can have any conversation whatsoever about polarisation in British politics without mentioning Brexit would be a bit like trying to make a sandwich without bread. Absolutely hilarious. And again, why is it always the people that won that don't want to talk about it? Is there any other example in history of a magnificent victory that people were cheering to the rafters, and then 10 minutes later they'll go, oh, can we shut up about that now, please? Can we shut up about that glorious victory? Can we shut up about that magnificent achievement that I bear personal responsibility for, please? Can we stop talking about the win? Let's stop talking about the victory. Stop it. Be quiet. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk about it. Of course, if I told you to vote for it, I'd probably be keen not to talk about it as well. But that would be a double betrayal. That would be not only misleading you into voting against the national interest, but also refusing to take responsibility for it and work towards improvements. So maybe that's what polarisation between the left and the right is. But again, it's people who are right and people who are wrong. Polarisation between the right and the wrong, not the left and the right. 11:11 is the time. And Tate pops up in the research here where we see the normalisation of extreme misogyny. 45% of young men having a positive view of the misogynistic influencer Andrew Tate. I think Farage talked about how they appeal to similar audiences as well, didn't he? Not long ago. So, some of the answers are fairly obvious, but some of them are not. And as Cameron says, someone should write a book about it. Yeah, someone should, shouldn't they, Cameron? The bit I don't know about, and the bit that I said a minute ago we should talk about more, but I'm never quite sure how to, are the conspiracy theories. 30% of 45 to 54-year-olds believe that the number of deaths from coronavirus, for example, was deliberately reduced or hidden by the authorities. And I don't know what the numbers are for people who don't think that the coronavirus was a real thing anyway, or that the vaccines were somehow designed to damage us. Conspiracy theories are everywhere. And I don't know that you can be a dabbler in this. Do you see what I mean? You either believe it, you either believe the nonsense, and it is nonsense. I'm not going to make any apologies for calling that particular spade a spade. You either believe it or you stare goggle-eyed at the people who believe it. I don't know that there's much grey area here, and that's what's kind of scary. That idea that you normally have a spectrum of opinion, don't you? You normally have so you could be a little bit bonkers. But when it comes to conspiracy theories, you're either fully paid up or fully informed. I always remember, and I've mentioned this to you a few times, and I'll mention it to you again. I always remember I got a couple of messages at the very beginning of coronavirus, at the very beginning of COVID-19, from a couple of lads, one in particular I had not heard from for the best part of 40 years. It's been a few years since, so 35 years. And he just got in touch with me via Facebook, by the instant message, the private messaging on Facebook. I said, look, I'm sorry to do this, but you're the only person I know in the media. And I've just been sent a couple of films, and I wondered if you could tell me what's going on, because one of the people that sent them, I've known him for almost as long as I've known you. He was at my second school, so I met him when I was 13, and the lad that was contacting me, we'd been at school together until we were 13. And it was when people were claiming, and even as I say these words, you still have that. That's what I mean by there being no grey area. You either think what I'm about to say is completely bonkers, or you think it's true. Like, people were claiming that phone masts were causing coronavirus. And people were filming themselves breaking into phone mast facilities, claiming that they had somehow discovered proof that the phone masts were pumping virus into the ether. And that's why people were really getting sick, and the authorities wouldn't tell you the truth because reasons. But like that, it started, a lot of this thinking started with the exhausts coming out the back of aeroplanes, didn't it? But that moment there was probably more significant than I realised at the time, because it kind of demonstrated the teetering upon the brink of a conspiracy that must precede the actual falling into it. Someone was like, look, this just feels absolutely ridiculous, but it's got this veneer of plausibility, and some of the people promoting it are, well, they're old mates. I know these guys aren't nuts. These guys are I play football with these lads, or my children are at school with their children. They can't be. And then you end up with these widespread nonsensical beliefs. Nonsensical beliefs is probably a more helpful phrase than conspiracy theory. And of course, if you believe it, you don't think it's a conspiracy theory. You think we're all deluded. You think everybody else is deluded. So that's why I say it's something we should be talking about more, but I never know how to, really. What I think I'd like you to tell me is what's it like to watch someone fall? What's it like to watch someone disappear down the rabbit hole? Whether it is the idea that the World Economic Forum is, I don't know what it's supposed to be doing, designed to damage our interests. The belief that a small number of people secretly controls the world. 34% of people in a poll of 20,000 UK adults believe that. A single group of people secretly controls world events. And of course, that's historically a very anti-Semitic trope. It's usually Jewish people that are believed to be secretly controlling world events. But, 34%. It's almost as if, and I keep circling back to Kellyanne Conway talking about alternative facts. I think historians of the future will find that to be a really monumental moment in Western political history, when a member of an administration, the most powerful administration in the world, essentially gave people permission to believe whatever they want. Not just in terms of opinions and ideas, but facts. You can make up your own fact. You can believe whatever you want. And of course, Trump's going back into the White House, so it's still working. It's still winning. But what's it like to watch somebody fall into what normal people would call a conspiracy theory, fall into a belief that is so completely at odds with reality that you can't quite believe they've gone all in on it? Something about the diet you can curate for yourself now on social media. You can surround yourself almost entirely with people who believe that Bill Gates is I don't know, what's Bill Gates trying to do? Trying to poison you? Is he one of the people, the paedophile ring in the pizza restaurant, the basement of the pizza restaurant in New York, a building that didn't even have a basement? Somebody turned up to, you know what I'm talking about, all of the stuff that people believe, that their loved ones must just sit there and go, whoa, what? So what happens to these people? And that's a question that they can't answer, because they think they've taken the red pill, or they're the ones that have seen the truth. They're the ones that have seen the reality. The old rules are creaking, aren't they? The old order is creaking. The misogyny is just a symptom of being told that you can believe what you want. Armies, thousands of men furious that they don't enjoy supremacy over women anymore. And somehow that can be a seed from which you can grow a belief in all sorts of absurdities. What's it like to watch somebody teeter on the brink of these bonkers beliefs and then fall? I mean, the thing we normally use is rabbit hole, isn't it? The analogy we know to watch someone disappear down the rabbit hole. How does it happen? And what can you do about it? So I'm not sure you can. That's what I mean about the grey area. There's no point me having arguments with these people. It would make my arguments with Brexiters look like Plato's Symposium. It's just shouting at you that the World Economic Forum is our enemy, and if you can't see it, you're part of the problem. Or the Great Replacement Theory, whereby this secret group of individuals is trying to replace white people all around the world. You just sort of sit there going, what the hell is wrong with you? But the depth of belief, the passion of belief, microchips in the vaccines, Bill Gates trying to poison our milk supply. I mean, so much stuff that is, what's the word I want? Crackpot. And yet, these are convictions that people have. These are deep, deep opinions. So what's it like to watch someone disappear? What are the ingredients in this recipe? Is it arrogant to think that you'd be immune to it? You sit here and think, well, that could never happen to me. I don't know. That's what I mean. You can tell that I was telling you the truth when I said I feel this is something we should talk about more, but I'm not quite sure how to conduct the conversation. So we'll begin with the spectator sport of watching it happen to people and sharing information on what that is like. What's it like to watch somebody disappear down a conspiracy theory rabbit hole? 20 minutes after 11 is the time. 0345 6060 973.